Hey there, gamers. Welcome back to Cryptic Gaming. I hope you've been having a wonderful week. So, we're going to be discussing Season 2 of Year 2 tonight. That's right, what you've been wanting to hear, the upcoming release information. We're going to talk about what we know and what is actually just being rumored, but is probably true. So, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to post that card up there for you, and I'm going to discuss what's coming, and then we're going to talk about it in more depth of what we know. Okay, so Large Ship Frigate is coming into the game. They're going to have new weapons and equipment. In the past, we already know what one of those weapons are by looking at it there. We're going to post a card up naming that weapon as well for you here in the show. Also, Faction War System coming at mid-season. We're going to discuss more of that tonight as well. And, of course, the Mega Fort. You're going to see some new events, and I do recommend that you make sure you play these events when they come out. As far as the release dates for those events, we will have to check the seasonal calendar when it releases on July 15th. So, Dark Tide Lullaby and then the Moonshiners event. Both are time limited. If you don't know what a time limited event is, that is stuff that is like the Honorless event. And while this came up basically for 3 weeks this season, it seems like it might have been 4. There was another event last year at Halloween that came out that you cannot get those weapons for right now. So make sure that you run these Honorless or these time limited events. Make sure you run them when they're there. So definitely make sure that you run them when they're there. Okay, now with that having been said, a new feature coming into the game that we know of, and this was released by the producer notes. If you don't know what producer notes are, you can go to the Skull and Bones web page and read those for yourself, and they have a lot of really great cards. Something they gave away on this. So first off, there's going to be a new ship loadout feature called the Arsenal Loadout. What that is when you build your ship and you come up here and you have all of your managed ship, you have your weapons and your armor and your furniture and all that stuff attached to it. If you decide, you know what, I need my ship built another way for another mission, and you have to go and you have to build it all, or build a second ship to have setting. Well, you no longer going to have to do that. It's going to have this Arsenal loadout where you just save your loadouts in that page. It looks like there's going to be quite a few loadouts that you can have per ship from what it's looking like on this card. So that's going to be pretty awesome. Can't wait to see that. But if you look closer on that card, there is called the Thunder Dragon Cannon. So my guess is, based off of that image and based off what we've seen on that card, that is going to be a lightning-based demi cannon. That is the one lightning-based weapon that has been missing in the game. Been waiting for it to come out, and here it is, guys. We now have that. Now, there are some things at Blackwood I do recommend that you pick up if you haven't picked them up yet. You do have 3 blueprints available in the game now. It's up to you which ones you want to get, if you want to get them at all. I'm sure a lot of folks are just kind of like, I'm happy with what I got, just give me the large ship. I'm kind of there at that point, but I do have all the blueprints so I can build more stuff later. But looks like the brig, the battle junk, and the Garuda are here, so up to you if you want to use it. There are some great furnitures out right now. Now, next season, this stuff may or may not be available. We'll have to wait and see. You're looking at the Mark of the Wolf. These are seasonal items for here in Season 1. Like I say, those get reset at Season 2. What they will be at Season 2, they've not released information yet. Then, of course, those time-limited events, you may end up seeing these roll through later on and time-limited. So there's some time-limited events people have asked about, like Plague Bringer's Ward. If you've been looking for that for your toxic weapons, it's up now, so you can buy that at 300 cup for bars. So some great aspects for you to look at. Now, that is what we know of in the game currently. Now here we're going to discuss some of the speculations that's been reduced or been produced out here, and I'm going to kick this card up here for you so you can see it. So you can see I'm not just making all this up. This is according to IGN. If you don't know who IGN is, they do a lot of stuff with gaming. So there's going to be an ironclad perk. It's going to be reducing the brace strength depletion from enemy fire by 20%, allowing for more sustained defenses. There's also another perk mentioned that's called the Outburst perk, which grants a 50% chance of explosive hits to trigger an additional explosive, dealing 1,500 damage within a 150 meter radius. That's pretty similar to what you see with like the Sloop, by the way, if you're not familiar with that. Now, what I would expect is the 50% is going to get nerfed like anything else. I mean, we've seen it with the Fury perk. We've seen it with the Garuda with the front weapon and stuff like that. Get about a couple weeks of it, and then they end up nerfing it down. So we'll have to wait and see if they nerf it and they leave it by. But don't be surprised if they end up nerfing that down. Now, there's going to be, obviously, where you can come in here, you can upgrade. And this is where it gets, where I say it's rumor and conjecture. Shipwright, you're going to be able to come up here, and you're going to be able to upgrade it just like any other ship, from what it sounds like. But when it comes to it, you are going to have a specialization tree. Now, it will not look exactly like this, but it will be the same premise where you will have different expeditionary roads based off the faction that will open certain features for your frigate class ship. Okay, and that's going to tie into the faction system. So we're going to discuss the faction system some more here and what they're discussing, what we know, plus what's being conjectured. But with the faction system, you're going to pick an oath. You're going to make an oath of war either to the DMC or to the Campaign Royale. And anytime you go into the other one's territory, you're automatically going to be aggroed against that enemy, just so you know. Now, as far as which side I'm going to go to, we're just going to have to wait and see what those abilities are that's going to be upgradable on the frigate based off of factions. But something we do know, what they've been talking about, is the faction war system based off of, and again, this is in your producer notes, based off of a faction point system. That is how much damage, for example, the DMC is doing against the Campaign Royale. Now, we already see part of that faction system in here, by the way, guys. If you run a hostile takeover or a solo takeover, run a takeover, and you're going to run that PvP or solo. When you destroy a level 8 ship, it says faction ship destroyed +8. But that's a level 8 or higher ship in that. Now, there are certain types of events and things that you can run when you destroy a certain level or higher faction ship. It gives you that faction point. While it's not currently tallying anywhere in the game, that's how it's going to determine coming into new seasons and even season updates, from what it sounds like. When these maps are going to expand, you'll see the DMC expand again, adding extra features to your Helm Empire. Now, exactly what those Helm Empires are going to be, if you look, there's territories currently in the map, and depending on which territory is controlled, how that's going to work, there's going to be certain perks that you can. Now, that's not going to affect your PvE, basic, I own these factories and stuff like that. It's not going to affect that, except for if they own the faction-based system, they own this area, there's going to be a factional boost to that. Depending if it's DMC or Campaign Royale, we will have to wait and see which side you're going to go with. And, don't make the decision lightly. I'm going to look into it myself. I want the side that's going to build my ship the best way that I want to build it. That's going to complement my play style. And as far as what it's going to get, obviously, if everyone in the game joins DMC, then the Campaign Royale is not going to stand a chance no matter what your ship looks like. So we're just going to have to kind of wait and see what's going on. I'm sure there's going to have some balancing upgrades and stuff like that into the ship build as far as how that's going to work. They may have dedicated servers for people, within certain factions later. Don't know. There's not any information on that yet. But it sounds like Season 4 is going to bring a territorial dispute, territorial takeover into the game as well. So there's going to be the lower map area, obviously, but then it sounded like there's going to be something coming for up here later. Now, is that going to happen in Season 4, or will it get pushed to Season 3? Season 4 of Year 2, or is it going to be pushed to Year 3 of Season 1, is what my expectation is, based off of just what I've experienced from Ubisoft slow rolling content. Now, understand, one of the reasons why this content has been slow rolled is because there was a contract that they have to have new player content for 3 years, and they had the first 2 years developed already, and instead of bothering to come up with a third year, the Singapore division has just gutted and slow rolled the first 2 years. Now, all this stuff that we're seeing in this second season here was actually supposed to happen in Year 1, just so you're aware. But it got slow rolled. So, but that's giving people a chance, one, for new players to come into the game after Year 1, get caught up to where we're at, and everybody's on the same playing field, is what it looks like now at this point. And I imagine we're going to see the same similar thing at the end of Year 2, going into Season 1. The first season is going to be to get new players built in, get everybody set up, and then we'll start seeing coming Season 2 of Year 3. A Northern Territory really start to expand, but probably releasing at the end of Season 4 or first part of Year 3. We'll wait and see, guys. Like I say, that is purely conjecture. That's just what it's sounding like online, but I am looking forward to the potential for some fully customizable ships. If you're wondering how many cannon ports is the frigate going to have, if you look at the frigates that are actually out here at the sea, It looks to me, based off of counting gun ports, you can see that there's roughly 15 broadsides per ship. Okay, that might be 18. It's kind of hard for me to count some of these things sometimes, but it's looking like 15 to me. I've heard rumor of 18. So you're looking at over 34 weapons per ship. Now, the other rumor is the front side of the ship is blind, meaning it can't fire off the front. I don't know if that's true. That's what I've heard. If you look at the frigates in game currently, they cannot fire off the front. Now, there are a couple different things on that, though. So you've got some frigates over here with the Hubok twins. You have a frigate over here with a POC. Okay, there's a frigate over here that's being ran by the Naga as well. Those are some different setups. There's frigates down here, the course fleet, that hang out down in this area, as well as privateers, and they have different loadouts as well. And then there'll be some privateers up this way here in those frigates as well. Again, what you're seeing is different types of loadouts. Now, I imagine that is going to play into that factional system where, based off of what it is that you're opening up within the faction, there's probably going to be certain types of weapons that are expanded upon within the faction system for your ship within the expeditionary tree. I don't know. From what it sounds like, expeditionary tree is what they're calling this thing. It's going to be where a certain requirement for, if your DMC side is going to have certain requirements to unlock the ability to then probably use a special currency. Hoping pieces of 8, we'll have to wait and see, but there's going to be a currency that is going to be used to unlock, to actually open it up. Once you've reached the requirements, you then will be able to use your currency to unlock those features. Like I say, waiting to hear one way or the other from Ubisoft. This is just what the rumors is that's coming out now. The fact that the factions system here is going to be released at the midpoint of Season 2. Will we see that tree here in Season 2? Man, I hope so. We'll have to wait and see. We don't know how long it's going to take to upgrade a frigate yet. We don't know the amount of materials it's going to take. I'm hoping that I've got enough materials set up. I went and spent some 8s earlier. So the rumor is we can bring 300,000 pieces of 8, just like we could last year, into Seasons. Now, obviously, the year 2 release, they bumped it to I think it was 50,000, or it might have been 30. I don't remember exactly, but you were only allowed a certain amount. But it sounds like 300,000 is going to be the magic number again. Hit that number tonight, so I went ahead and boosted a few more things. I want to bring up a few more factories and stuff like that, some more 5s and stuff. We did manage to get all of our 5s done as far as our auto collect sections. We want to do some more of those later, but I definitely want to make sure that I'm having that 300,000 pieces of 8 coming up. Now, we could grind that 60,000 out in a few hours pretty easy just by running Houston multiple times and throwing in a few sea monsters and maybe jumping over into a few more events. It plays pretty good, but make sure that you have that 300,000. Now, will the cup for bars transfer? Or coup for bars, however you want to pronounce it there. It sounds like it probably will. And here's why, guys. Here's why I'm saying that. There's not been a word saying it's going to be replaced. There's a lot of people saying it's probably going to get replaced. I don't see anything. Look here, this weekend, the 12th, this is right before the 15th comes for the new season. They're having a double cup for event. I don't imagine they would be having that if it's not going to, bring over into the next season. But I don't know, man. It might end up becoming something like Sovereigns, where Sovereign still has some play over in Unita's warehouse as far as her store. And then maybe coming out with a new currency over here is what the rumor is, that there's going to be a new currency. But my recommendation is not to spend it all. Buy the stuff that you need, obviously. But it'll be just like with Sovereigns, where you can buy Sovereigns with Cupfer, and you can probably, I think it was Season 4 we was able to come over here with our Sovereigns and convert it over to Cupfer. But I don't see anything like that in the game where we can start converting that stuff over to a new currency. So my guess is we're probably safe to carry that over. Either way, we're going to be able to carry that over. So make sure that you do. And I'm trying to make sure that I've got, enough of that stuff to hopefully buy some new items. But at the very least, I can convert it over to the new currency to buy some items. So either way, it's a win-win. So don't spend it all. It should have a conversion system there if they're going to actually cut it off. But I don't imagine they're going to. They usually let us know with stuff like that. So, but yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at, guys. Honorless event. I've been running it pretty good. Now, what I do recommend is picking up from Unita and picking up those 3 contracts, and you should be saving 30 buoys a day with it and running these 3 events, and you can pick up another 60. If not, make sure that you pop over here to Hunter Hunted, and there's usually a ambush right in this vicinity here, right around him. There's usually an ambush right over here between the Arliss, Missouri, and Il Michel. You can usually pick up in that area as well. And then, of course, you can pick up the area here with a POC just off of, if you come straight down south of Port Hermione here at the Oubliette. Usually right about in here, you're going to run into an Arliss event somewhere right in here, which is going to be an ambush. It does pay 5 buoys out each time you destroy those. Some quick ways for you to get it. Don't buy them with pieces of 8. It costs 500 pieces of 8 to pop one. Boss is going to pay you about 200 pieces of 8 if you're lucky. So not a great reward trade system. I've been using the doubloons to buy the Ascension chest. There is also some stuff in here for those of you who like cosmetics. The Artisan Pack, if you're not familiar with what that is if you have certain types of equipment that you open that has an emissive cycle, you can actually open up your emissive cycles with those, and they are found here. You need a currently for those doubloons as well here in the app, the black market here. Right here's what it looks like. It's the Artisan Refinement Pack, and you would spend that under your ship's cosmetics. And it's typically masked features, you know, a figurehead or something like that for your ship figurehead there. But it could be other things in the future. So make sure you buy some of those and get them stockpiled as well, guys. Don't just settle on one thing, but get those things that you're going to need, like the ship ornament we got this past season here. Let's go ahead and bring up our ship management, and we're going to bring up this cosmetic here for you, and we're going to want to go to the figurehead. So if you looked at this season, what did we get here? We got some kind of big winged demon looking thing, didn't we? Yeah, right here. So this grotesque slumber. So when you come in here, you can see I'd use my Artisan packs to go ahead and upgrade it. Now, is this the only one that has it? No, there's other things that have other abilities and stuff. So, and it'll make it from just a plain Jane nothing to something that ends up glowing pretty cool. So you can add those to your ships and add those effects that have emissives. If you don't have the emissive, or you have the basic but not the emissive, that's how you're going to get that, is from you need to buy the Artisan Pack, and you're going to be able to upgrade those things, guys. And I imagine we're going to see it come into play even more here in the future, so make sure that you hop in there and get that. But I hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm going to hop off here. Definitely comment in what it is that you're most excited about here in the new season coming up, and what do you think about some of these rumors about that frigate, man? I know for me, I hope that there is a added feature like what they're talking with that tech tree that's tied to the DMC or the Campaign Royale. To me, that sounds like it's going to give you a greater customization on your ships, making sure that we're not all running the exact same thing, but it's also going to give you a reason to fight for your faction that you join if they do that, and you have to fight those factions, get those points to open those pathways. And I imagine that's what those points on those faction ships, when you destroy those hostile takeovers, I imagine you're going to be getting them. It's going to be like a currency for you to unlock through that tree. Y'all have a wonderful day, and we will catch you later.